Ross is one of the only people who I think has dared to truly put their readers, their viewers first. And even I've talked about that in the past on the pod. People, if you're new, might not know what I'm saying, but when I say put your viewers or readers first, I literally mean try and create something that you know you can sell before you actually do it. Um, because it grounds your creativity and what the audience wants. And you've done that, my friend. But before we dive into what you've learned by going through that process and your incredible last year, I'd love to start from the beginning when we both met because you are, yeah, we've had a very special relationship over the last year, but we didn't even know each other this time last year.
I forgot to tell you this, but I was going through a bunch of I don't know, it was an interview of someone I think it was about Kindle Vella before they pulled the plug on that. And as I had taken some screenshots on it, and I happened to see your face as the interviewer. So clearly, we were eventually going to meet up at some point. Um, but yeah, I mean, like a year ago, I was um, very interested in turning up the volume on my career as a novelist in literary stuff, but I was steeped more in photography, fine art photography, which was kind of like my day job. And it was frustrating because I wanted to pursue both, and I didn't exactly know a good path forward in order to get to the novel part. And so it took a while before I ran into it, and it was actually through Scott Walker who said, "You've got to meet this guy, Michael. He's really amazing." And I didn't realize that you were the same guy that I've been watching some of the videos before, so it was really serendipitous. But that kind of started me on the path of there's a broader scope here. What exactly is the top down? And so that's where our relationship began. And so yeah.
That's actually I didn't know that at all. It's like kind of it's funny but weird because I had like someone walk up to me and I'm like not even like I don't get it. I guess in like our community some people know me but I'm not really like that type. I'm really not well known at all. But I had someone stop me at like an author con like I've seen your face somewhere and she had seen it in an ad, that's why. But it was very funny, which we'll get to talking more about ads later. uh Now this bigger world, we like to call it, I think, beyond the book, which is, I think, a pretty apt way to describe it, which Scott actually, he's credited for coming up with that. Beyond the book was him. Ed, I'm curious for you when you think about going beyond the book and being creative in ways that are maybe unconventional or at the very minimum multifaceted, what that means for you.
Um, So this book right here, this is my first book. It's an anthology of short stories, and if you flip back to the last few pages, it's not even listed in the table of contents. It's meant to be kind of an Easter egg, but it is a small 3-page poem called "An Ode for Those an Ode for Those Who Are About to Die," or I can't remember exactly what it is. But it's essentially a description of we don't sell books, we don't sell movies, we don't sell music, we sell an experience. We sell we sell the products. Those are the things we actually exchange money for, but those are just the bundled embodiment of the story, of the experience. And so I don't actually see myself as a novelist or an AI director or a movie. If I were to make games, I wouldn't see myself even as a game creator. I would see myself as an experience creator, as designing a world, designing characters, designing all these things for people to come into. And so if you're a photographer, you are selling a visual experience. If you are a novelist, you are selling a literary experience, but it doesn't limit you. And so I don't limit myself by saying I am only an author. That means going beyond the book allows me the option to say, well, I could be writing this novel, but I could also be taking the characters from that and uploading it to character AI and then letting my readers interact with my characters directly. That's a totally different take on it. It's just a different branch of the tree. So that's I always and actually I was very happy to hear uh, David Viergutz at Author Nation begin his speech by saying, "You aren't an author. You are selling an experience. It's all about the experience. It manifests in different forms."
Mm, yeah, that's such a good way to put it. And I think sometimes in all of the hullabaloo of the industry and of authorship, it's easy to lose sight of what really matters. Or if you're filmmaking in the process of trying to get funding and impressing the directors and whatever it is. But I think you highlighted something important, which is that, it's really technology that's helping us all go beyond the book in one way or another. And that technology is making it possible to do really interesting things. But my philosophy on this, which is that you could create tons of different things, but you have to be honest about yourself, about why you're creating and who you're creating for. And we did this whole exercise. I remember this, that it was like building out your synergy map and trying to uncover who your audience was. What do you remember about that exercise, and how has your audience or view of who you're creating for evolved over the last year? Because I certainly know it has.
Uh, yeah, that was a great experience. I kept thinking, oh my God, I'm building by Disney map, because that's what it was. It was a synergy map that kind of gave me a top down. I think probably the biggest lesson I picked up from that was, although I could definitely spend a lot of time working on that synergy map, the most important thing was what was right in front of me, which was I have to build the foundation. And the foundation is the book. It's the first book. It's the first set of stories that are part of that book. So it's easy for me to get distracted at the 40,000 foot level of seeing things. But my strategy right now is entirely focused on making the best possible story and selling that into a book. So that's the lesson I took home: is don't get distracted by the big stuff. Focus on what's ahead of you, right
That's
ahead of you.
big.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a big learning to not get distracted.
It's
Uh,
easy and fun, right? Everybody can do it. Everybody can get distracted. Oh, it's so fun. You could spend all week thinking about that and never get anything done. So
hmm, hmm, yeah, yeah. Now, when you think about writing, um, how I know that you recently did something pretty wild for the recent book you're working on, right? I remember at the Barbie house, you had shared a very fun update. What is this? What did you do for this recent book you're writing, and why did you do it?
are you talking about the the anthology of short stories that I was passing around, or are you talking about something else?
I'm talking about something else. Oh, the anthology of short stories is
Yeah.
wonderful.
Well,
I'm
if you're
talking
talking
about,
about are you talking about testing, the pre-order
yeah,
testing? Yeah.
yeah.
The pre-order testing was really interesting. And okay, so here's the story. So Michael and I were trying to see, okay, let's see if there is actually an audience for the kind of story that I would like to write. Because if there is, then you should be writing it. And if there isn't, you need to keep tweaking it to see what kind of story people will be interested to buy. So, um, Michael said, almost in a cavalier way, throw up an Amazon page, a pre-order page, and see if anyone will buy it. What he didn't tell me was the fine print, which is once you set up a pre-order page, I don't think you can cancel it. There's no way to take it down. So
No,
thank
you have
God
to do it.
I set it 12 months in advance. But I did. I set it at 12 months in advance. I wrote a blurb. I went to Midjourney and created a simple AI version. I drew it into, I pulled it into Photoshop, tweaked with it a little bit to give it some good typeface. Basically just testing what it would look like. So I did all that. I was pretty happy with the results. I had the Amazon page, and then I ran a meta ad on Facebook directly to that pre-order page. And I have to say that that first week, I was biting my teeth or biting my nails because I just didn't I had no idea if this is going to work. This is crazy. But I got my first order, my first pre-order. I remember sitting in the car just like, what? Someone bought this? It's a year in advance and they're total strangers and they decided to pre-order. That's crazy. So I got 15 pre-orders total and I said, okay, that's validation. Once you've validated the product, great. It's time to go right and create the product. So that's what I did, and that was an incredible boost. I mean, I remember um, remember me showing you my phone, and I had gotten the meta ads down to sub 10 cents a click, which was one of our goals. Which also just reconfirmed to me that this is possible. It's knowable. I can do it. Like I've done it once. I know how to do it now. And yeah, that was a huge, huge boost for me. Just understanding, okay, there are strangers out there. This is cold traffic. I didn't tell any of my friends. These are all people who didn't know me and they still wanted to buy it. So yeah, that was a good day.
Now, I like you, it's even funny because when you recount it, like it it sounds like a relatively simple process in the sense. And I know I said it in a cavalier way, but I know it didn't feel simple. Like that had to be hard to do. So what were you thinking like as you were doing it? Because I think this is something that like that what's funny is like I think it's more scare people to do this than to actually release their work into the world. I'm convinced of that. And I think for me, I've faced the pain of releasing work into the world that no one wanted. So I think I just got scared straight after that. I'm like, that's my real fear. That's my real fear. So I'm gonna do whatever to avoid that fear.
Yeah.
But what were you feeling doing it? Because I think I will say I'm very proud of you doing it because I think it's something that I mean now you're walking forward with new confidence, but it's before that it wasn't confidence that you were feeling. I'm
Yeah,
confident.
it definitely there are two aspects to it. One is I'm going to do this and we're going to see what happens. And then the other aspect is I really hope that I get sales because if I don't, it means that my ideas will be essentially fruitless for a profitable machine moving forward. And that sucks. It's like not only does it hit you at an emotional level that my art isn't worth everyone's time in the world, but it also means how am I going to make this work? If you can't sell it, then there's no market. There's no, that sucked. But I knew I was looking around. I mean, this is just like real estate. It is a comp. You are developing a comp. And if someone is willing to buy that house over there and that house over there, if I create something almost exactly like it, but unique to me, it has to work. I mean, it's like a train of inevitability. People will find it. And if they don't, I'm going to keep working at it until they do.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the key. And uh what I know has happened as well. I think this is something that a lot of us tend to do, but you've run a lot of experiments over the last year. And what I'm curious about is what you've learned from running those experiments. Like, that's why I would consider this putting up a book, seeing if it'll sell before you write it. It's an experiment. You run not just that, but a lot of different experiments. What have been your biggest takeaways from running all these experiments? Because I wouldn't mind not having to learn those mistakes myself.
So I was recently at an airport and I picked up Steve Bartlett's Diary of a CEO, which is excellent. I mean, it's all chock full of really useful nuggets. And one of the first lessons is learning knowledge, putting knowledge into your knowledge bucket never hurts. If you have new information, that is something that you will keep with you forever. So that's probably my biggest take home lesson is that you can have 100 failures, but if 100 failures ended up in 100 lessons of new knowledge and things learning what not to do, that's incredibly powerful. So, I mean, I don't know if I specifically told you this, but as we were doing the Shopify testing, uh, I had to get my reps in, as you said, I had to get my reps in on Shopify to know what the heck I was doing. So I did that. And at the end of it, even though we didn't go forward with Shopify, I know now that within 24 hours, I can have an entire Shopify website. That is powerful, powerful knowledge. So to me, it was specifically, so it was about the skills. That was definitely one aspect of it. Another aspect of it was learning when to stop pivoting and pick something you're really passionate about because passion is what sells. It's not about sales at that point. It's like, I can't wait to share this thing with you. I'm playing a game of cards and I'm holding all the cards up to my chest. And when I'm ready to show you, it's going to be so great. I can't wait for you to see what's in my hand. And that's contagious. People really want to hear that. And in your dark nights of the soul, that will sustain you, that passion, and that's just the ultimate key for resilience and grit. So that's probably my biggest take home lesson. It's all the lessons I learned that built me up.
Hmm. I I think the biggest two things there that, or three things actually, that people forget that I want to highlight again is just one, I call it like maybe creator market fit or storyteller market fit, but knowing that like not every story is for you to tell, not because you can't tell it. You know, we know how creative people are, myself included. If you tell them you can't, you're going to want to do it. It's not that you can't, but it's that, is that going to be something that you really enjoy?
Yeah.
You know, it's not going to be something that lights you up. And we've had this conversation personally about some of the things that you've tried over the last year. It's like, well, most importantly, let's take out of the equation how it went. Like, let's also talk about that too. But did you enjoy it? Because
Yeah.
if you hate it, I mean, like, who wants to build a creative business doing something you hate? That's like really like
Mhm.
that's terrible.
At some point during when I was at Author Nation, I can't remember what the genesis of this idea came from, but it really helped me reframe everything that I do in writing in particular. Writing is like it's like being on the kinderground, um, the play yard, and you're building with you're in your sandbox or whatever it is that you're doing. You've got your building blocks, and you're creating this fake imaginary world. And your world may have spaceships, and their world may have dragons, and that person's world may have zombies or whatever it is. All the kids, all authors are like different people on the playground, and they're saying, "My area is really fun. You should come and come into my world for a while." And once I saw it like that, I realized that it is a terrifying privilege to be that person to say, I get to create stuff that people will want to come into and experience and live in. And I mean, my particular goal is to bring people into a world that is thoughtful and emotional and brings you on a real journey that by the end, I mean, in a perfect, I may not get there, but my goal is to have people put down a book and it bounces around in their head for years later. That would be the ultimate goal for me. And so that's I feel really privileged, and I feel like if I get one person coming up to me after a book comes out and they say, "Holy cow, that I don't know where that came from, but thank you for writing it." Like that is worth it to me just for the chance to be able to do that. So, yeah, it's a great experience.
Yeah. that fires again, like what you just have to keep alive. And it brings me to the second big learning that I think I took from what you said, which learning number one is you should create things you're passionate about. But learning number two is, sticking in certain lanes over time.
Mm.
And I think that, there's this notion to say, well, this didn't work, so I'm going to do something completely different. Like, I guess that thing that I thought I liked, I'm not actually good at, so I'm going to transition. Imagine if someone playing a sport, if we just think of this like a sport, right? And like we're athletes getting better at something over time. I mean, candidly, like the first time anyone plays a sport, it's not going to be great. There's even if you're natural and gifted, a lot of room to grow. And imagine if Michael Phelps jumped in the pool and was like, "Yeah, I can't swim. It's over." Right? So, you know, and like that would be crazy. But that's what most of us do. Now, the point is
Mhm.
this: don't keep swimming just how you're swimming. You should
Mm.
learn. You should change what you're doing, but you can still keep swimming. Just change about what you're doing. Maybe it's a little bit of the story idea. Maybe it's the cover. Maybe it's how you're marketing it, right? But if you go, I'm going to change everything, it's like, well, you just went from swimming to tennis. These are two very different sports. And sure, the same principles of I move my body apply. I write story or I create story that apply. A lot of other things don't. A lot of other things don't. They're different games. So
Yeah.
that's a big learning because I think so many of us basically quit when we're just getting started. And it's
Yeah, I call that day 20.
day
Day
20.
20, day
Oh,
20
right.
of the 30-day the doubling of a penny. Even the story. If you
Yes.
if you pay someone a penny and you double it every day and you offer them a chance to pay them $1,000 a day for 30 days, most people would think, oh, I don't know, maybe not most people, but a lot of people would think, I'll take the $1,000 a day because I know I'll get 30,000. But if you keep doubling your efforts over and over and over again, by day 20, it goes vertical. And I mean, I play a lot of Minecraft. I love Minecraft, and I'm always thinking to myself, how do I get to day 20? How do I get to that breaking point, that inflection point where it goes vertical? And so yeah, so that was like one of my biggest lessons was, okay, if I just focus on writing from this point forward, I'm unstoppable in the long term. I mean, Steve Martin said this recently or a while ago. He said when he picked up learning how to play a banjo, he said, "Yeah, I'm not going to think about the short term. I think that I'm going to master this in 20 years. If I keep at it every day, I'll master." And he was already playing concerts in 5. So there's real power in just sticking at one thing, but knowing what that one thing is was a huge revelation for us.
Yeah. Yeah. I think also that brings a lot of pressure too, though, doesn't it? Like if you got to stick to one thing and then what the one thing is. So it can be, it's a chicken and egg sometimes, right? I think people are like, well, yeah, I know I need to commit to something. I don't know what I want to commit to. So it could be a kind of a sort of way to stay stagnant.
Yeah, so we had a back and forth, and I absolutely credit you with teasing this out because I think I was honestly afraid to admit it to myself. Because if you admit, like, this is my dream, really my dream, then crap, I have to actually follow through on it. And what if I fail? Right? So people have a fear of failure, but then they have a fear of success. And oftentimes it can be difficult to tell what exactly is happening there. But for me, it was I have an interest in lots of things. I could do lots of things, and I could be very happy doing lots of things. But I almost couldn't even admit it to myself that I wanted to be a writer because then I would have to be a writer. And that's, nobody wants to be able to say, if I'm a writer and people think I suck, that is almost intolerable to withstand.
Well, you know, which book more, right now, like, the book that more people think is terrible and people think sucks more than any other book? Like there's one book that more people think sucks than other books right now.
Oh, uh, what is it? I don't know.
I would wager the Fourth Wing. And it's not
Oh,
because many people hate it, it's because so many people read it. But you will always get people who hate what you do. So I think if you have people who think you suck at writing, probably means you're getting people's attention. So that's not a bad thing. It's a good place to start.
yeah,
The danger is, if a tree falls in the woods, no one hears it, right? Did it ever
right.
fall?
I actually, one of the things that always goes through my mind is because I've reframed the concept of people not like, of people criticizing you. Um, I see that as a signal that your group of people, your fans have grown so large that 1% of 1% is now large enough for you to actually notice it. There's always going to be that 1% of 1% who want to burn down everything you do just because. So great. The fact that you actually have people who hate what you do is a sign that you've reached that capacity.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's kind of it's hard to think like it's not natural to think that way, and it is what it's about. And it brings me to like the third thing, which I think is what you've been landing on, which is that, this marketing stuff is fun, but all that really matters is the experience you get the people at the end of the day. And I'm curious, you have been someone who is probably, when it comes to different media formats, experienced more than almost anyone I know, like deeply as a professional, not just a connoisseur, whether it's transmedia and everything you did in that world, photography, you've amazing stuff. Obviously now novels and books and writing, but then also filmmaking. You've done the whole gamut. So what have you learned about creating great experiences for people? Are there things that are true across mediums that you take with you, or is it really like, wow, this is going to be completely different this time?
Hmm. Um, well, that's a great question. I don't think people really think about it because there's so few multimedia storytellers, but
You're one of the few who has a perspective. You're one of the few.
yeah, I mean there is certainly the one thing that feels true across everything is the hook. There's a certain mechanics, there's certain storytelling mechanics that are just true across the board, and it's the hook, to grab someone's attention, and it looks different according to whatever medium you're in, but grabbing people to essentially, I wouldn't say bully, but to force them into, you have to pay attention to this. This is amazing. Whether that be advertising or filmmaking or books or music, music videos are a great way to get people to listen to the song. That's why Aha hit us so hard because we were like, what am I watching? Right? So the hook is absolutely fundamental to everything. But then I think the other part is the the resolution that comes with setting up a good tension. You know, I did my I did my studies in philosophy when I was in college, and Hegelian dialectic, the thesis, the antithesis, and the synthesis coming together and resolving. That is fundamental. That's like it's archetypal. And I think the best stories, be it a, a photograph, a story, a song, a movie, all of it is about setting up some sort of ironic tension and then watching how that's going to resolve in a way that is not totally weird, but which somehow resolves like I didn't see exactly that coming, but I kind of predicted it. It's very satisfying. You know everything so well, you kind of know where it's going to go. And music, it's you hear it harmonically. There's a harmony that resolves at the end. So yeah, there's definitely storytelling is at the aspect of it all. And yeah, I don't know how I can expand upon that, but that's my sense of it.
Well, that's two big things, hook and resolution. It's huge. Um, but like that's then it becomes what is a hook in a medium and where does the hook even begin, right? Like
Mm.
where is the hook of a book the first page, the first sentence?
Oh, first
Or
sentence for sure.
or
Yeah.
you know, that's part of the hook. But the hook
Yeah,
is
it's part
literally
of the
like
hook. Absolutely.
we visualize a hook, it's like where is the tip of that hook that you're gonna drive into an audience? Wow, that sounds super violent. Gonna drive a hook into an audience member's mind, but you do really want to stick with someone. So like, where does that hook start? I would wager the hook so I'll use an example of a hook. I think if we really break down a hook, it it can be, and I'm just thinking through this now that it's even more than I thought. Let's take Meow Wolf, for example.
Oh
Is
yeah.
the hook of Meow Wolf, which
Mm.
for folks who don't know, you should also describe Meow Wolf because I know for you this is like right up your alley with you are, you're transmedia man or one of the transmedia.
Yeah.
Scott is our other half of
Yeah. Yeah, it was fun
two
watching
horsemen.
Scott's face as we went to Meow Wolf. So, for anybody who doesn't know Meow Wolf, it is a collection of it's now a franchise. I mean, they're all over. They started in Santa Fe, if I am correct about that. And the the idea was let's create a story-based, loosely story-based art installation that covers an entire warehouse of different rooms and different, it's kind of hard to describe because they're all a little bit different. The one that we went to in Las Vegas was Omega Mart. And so it was loosely formed around the idea of a grocery store, but with fake products that are totally weird. And that was just the beginning, the tip of the spear, really, because you realize there's a whole other, we walk through the doors. You can see me getting excited about this. You walk through the doors of the freezers into this whole warehouse at the back it's like an alien. I don't even know what it was. It was like a not a chasm exactly, but you felt like you were in a canyon. You were in a canyon, and there was lots of areas to explore. It was crazy. And the way it functions is they give artists. They say, look, you're going to contribute to this, but you get no byline, no individual byline. But you also get to share in the revenue that it makes. Right. So it's a very interesting model and people say great. So it releases this ego thing like I have to outperform someone else. It's a collective effort. You share in the profits. And as you remember, I mean, Meow Wolf is incredible. It's anyway. So um, uh, I got off topic. You asked me to describe Meow Wolf, which I did.
Well, you did describe Meow Wolf, which is great. And then the question would be, given that experience, what is
Mm.
actually the hook of Meow Wolf?
Oh gosh. Without really thinking about it too much, it's weirdness. It's unexpected weirdness. You just don't know what you're going to see when you go in there, and a lot of it spreads through word of mouth, where people say, "You've got to see this. This is crazy." It, I can't quite describe it, but when you go in, you'll understand. Just go. And I think the word of mouth is probably one of the biggest hooks, but from just like a retail perspective, it would be an art installation that covers lots of different things. That's kind of the easiest way of describing it. And it blurs the line between commerce and art, actually.
So you're exactly right. And I think the hook of Meow Wolf is something very simple that so much of us miss. But the hook, at least now, I think it's why it works really well now in this particular time, is a picture you'll share with friends, maybe on social media or, in a group chat or in person, you'll share them a picture. But I think the hook to Meow Wolf is the picture with someone in it, your friend in it, and going, What?
What am I looking at? Yeah.
I want to go there, right?
Yeah.
I want to go there. But
Yeah.
what's important to note is how are you going to grow something sustainably over time, right? Like if you're going to grow an audience for something, given the channel that you're operating in, what is going to be the hook that will bring people in? Because the hook of what hooks people in should also be what gets you new fans. Like by proxy, people will love the experience so much that the resolution ends with them taking
Mhm.
pictures and sharing with people. Like that is like
Mhm.
the best thing, the resolution creates the hook and it keeps going, right? Like that's
Mhm.
a growth loop. So what growth loop can you build into the experiences you're creating? There are many. First of all, if it's a film, what you can encourage people to do is create fan edits, right? Bang, you have your film, you have your fan edit. You can also have things like merch. Merch is a growth loop unto itself. They finish the film, they buy the merch. Same thing with any story. Fan edits are definitely very powerful for films. There's been a whole economy now around paying people for it, which typically it's called clipping, where people will get paid to basically make fan edits of films, and market your film broadly. So you have someone watch the film, become a fan, become a clipper, growth loop repeats. There's, a growth loop, I think, for something like books is also pretty simple. Like the hook is actually usually just the premise line that someone's going to share with a friend, right? Like it's essentially the hook is can I reverse engineer that the ending, a reader's going to go create a book talk or a TikTok video, right? And that TikTok video they're going to create is going to reach more people. But like what's going to be said in that TikTok video that obviously is going to be true about the cover and 3 for 9 book to bring people in. Like that's the hook. And then from page one and sentence one, you're going to reinforce that hook that got them there. Um, and that would be like, Girl on the Train, I think is a really good example of this. Because like the hook of like why you read it, why people were talking about it, what for page one and sentence one was, all were super aligned. So it's about how do you align the resolution that people are talking about with the hook in the beginning and reverse engineer the outcome you want, which is people talking about your creation. Because ultimately your experiences can't grow without that.
So, we have to talk about social objects now, right? You're just perfect segue into social objects. So, as Michael knows, this is kind of a thing. I obsess about it. But I'll start by saying Savannah Bananas is probably their yellow jersey that they have is the ultimate social object. Wouldn't you agree?
I would
Because
agree.
everywhere you go, people look at it and say, "Oh my God, Savannah Bananas! Like I love them. I haven't been able to get a ticket all year because they're so busy." So, um, uh, if you've never heard of a social object, basically it is anything. It's typically something physical. Doesn't have to be, but it's typically something physical that gives people an excuse to talk about whatever it is that you're trying to get them to talk about. Um, this coffee mug is a social object. Many coffee mugs are actually many boutique coffee mugs are. This is a coffee mug that I got at it's at the Black Spire Outpost in Disneyland,
Oh,
and
super cool. Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean it looks if you actually look at it, it's got this rubber band
Yeah.
around the edges. It looks like a stormtrooper's mug. Like if a stormtrooper were to design a coffee mug, this is what it would look like. Um, So social objects are, I mean, the better the social object, the more people naturally want to talk about whatever it is that you want them to talk about. If I make a Meow Wolf coffee mug, then people are going to buy it and talk about it and put it on their shelves. Like, I don't know, maybe Scott. He loved that. He's like, I got to buy this. And my wife's going to kill me, but I have to buy a coffee mug. Why do you have to buy a coffee mug? Because it bundles the experience that you had in a way that will invite others to ask you about it and give you an opportunity to share that experience, which is the hook for Meow Wolf. It's natural advertising.
I think this was that was unbelievable. And it was one of the most valuable and cool things I learned from you throughout our year. I mean, I've learned so much from you, but that was by far one of them. And what I want to, I was thinking like we could talk about meta ads, but I feel like that's a whole other day. It's almost like a diversion from our like such like peaceful, nice conversation to like dive into the world of Zuck. So what I want to end on is what you've learned. It could be one thing, two things, no more than three. This is your challenge. Over the last year that you haven't shared yet, that you're like, I think storytellers should know this. And it could be anything.
Wow, my goodness. One thing that I've learned is to, this is going to sound maybe a little cliche, but it's absolutely true, is to be fearless about listening to your inner child that wants to
Mm,
do something really badly. And to just not, to just shed all the expectations that everyone is going to have about judging you and just say, I'm listing all the things in this list that I want to do in my life. What's the most important one on there that you are afraid to admit to yourself? And that would be the one that I would probably lean into. Because that for me, I mean, I've always known that I wanted to be a writer. Everyone around me has said you should be a writer, and I was too afraid to admit it, I guess, to myself. But once I admitted it, I was like, okay, this is what I'm doing now.
yeah, we're
And
making it happen.
yeah, and I mean, in truth, the other thing that kind of goes hand in hand in that is really building up mental fortitude, like building up your ability to imagine if everyone around you says, you suck, you'll never be a writer. You need to get to a space where you're like, okay, sorry you feel that way, but I'm still doing it. So instead of internalizing that, because it's so easy to just be ruddered by someone else's expectations of you. That's what I got.
Ross, you're brilliant. You're amazing. I'm so glad that we've been able to become friends for the last year. And
Same.
uh, where can we find you and your stories and all the awesome things you're doing?
Well, I have a website, so it's my name, rosspruden.com. And it is a documentation of everything that I write about, everything that I'm talking about, meta ads, talking about all kinds of stuff. But basically, it's for if you're interested in epic science fiction with a hard science background, that's where I would go. Membership is free, but you have to sign up if you want to comment on anything. And yeah, so that's my main website. If you want to take a look at my photography, you can at myname.art. So it's .com or .art.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Ross, thank you so much for your time. I'm
Thank you for
so
inviting me.
grateful to have you here. And yeah, for everyone listening, I just think it's so amazing when you choose to be, as I like to say, boundless, but when you choose to really commit to your dreams, where it can take you. And you're just beginning the journey, my friend. So, story tells the world, man.
Storytellers rule the world. Absolutely.